In this video, we are going to have a look at the end-to-end regression output. So like in the previous video, we did look at a few of the elements, but in this video, we are going to look at the end-to-end regression output over here. Okay. Uh, so in the previous video, we had checked with the multiple R. The multiple R is how multiple R is the correlation coefficient, as in what is the relationship between two variables, which is over here x and y. So if we plot a graph, so we had a plot a graph, so it says it almost moves in a tandem, almost moves, but not exactly. So it's not like a mirror image, or it's not like mimicking, but it tries to mimic. So when between 3 and 5, X moves drastically but Y doesn't move drastically. Similarly, between 7 and 9, X moves drastically but Y doesn't move drastically. So that's the reason that multiple R is not 100% or not 1, rather it is 0.92. This is almost 92%. It mimics almost 92% of the time. So it's more like a correlation coefficient, which we found out using function called as correl. Then you have R square. R square is how what is the percentage chance that your output of the regression is accurate. Okay, so higher the better. Usually we take around 70 to 75% is the better chance. Lesser the R square, we will try to do the regression again. Okay, so over here it says 0.86 or almost 86%. Almost 86% of the times, whatever my output is will mimic the actual output. Okay, adjusted R square is another measure where we have more than one independent variable. So let's say you have two independent variables. So instead of one x, which is over here, you have x1 and x2, and y is dependent on both x1 and x2. That's where the adjusted R square comes into picture. So higher the number of variables, your R square will obviously be higher. Adjusted R square will nullify the effect, the relationship between the independent variable. So let me explain. So your equation is y is equal to mx1 plus nx2, okay, and then plus c. Now R square will define that how closely, given the value of x1 and x2, can you define or can you predict the output of y. Wherein adjusted R square will eliminate the effect of dependency between x1 and x2. Okay, so obviously when you have more variables, your R square will increase. But if there is a highly dependent on x1 and x2, there is a high dependency between x1 and x2 within itself and not on y, then your adjusted R square will decrease. So when you have more than one variables, you have to check both the variables in the sync. So if your R square is very high, and so higher the relationship between independent variables, higher the lesser the R square, lesser the adjusted R square, and higher the R square. Uh, this is called as multicollinearity. Multicollinearity basically says that x1 affects y, x2 affects y, but x1 and x2 affect each other. So it should not be the case. All right, and because x1 and x2 affect each other, it eventually it will affect y. So we will not be able to interpret how much x1 is able to affect y and how much x2 will able to affect y. So that's why adjusted R square will remove the impact of x1 and x2 affecting each other, or x1 and x2 and x3 affecting each other. Okay, so that's the impact of adjusted R square. Standard error basically means that, so it's basically a standard deviation upon square root of total number of observations. It basically means that what is the error in the standard deviation. Okay, so it's not relevant at this point. Then we have the observation, which is number of cells, which is 11. Now we have something called as ANOVA, which is called as analysis of variance. Now it has only one thing which is meaningful at this point in time. Obviously, analysis of variance will have multiple things. Basically, it analyzes the variance part of, or the standard deviation part of the regression. All right, we only have to see which is called as significance f over here. Significance f, we usually take a value of 0.05 or 5%. Basically, significance f means what amount of regression is by chance. Okay, so over here it is 3.52 raised to, so e raised to minus 0 minus 5 is basically 10 raised to minus 5, so which is basically 1 upon 5 zeros, which is 1 lakh, which basically means 1 upon 1 lakh, which is very negligible. Okay, so the regression which you have got, or the dependency between x and y, is not by chance, is not by luck. It is a data which is showing it. Okay, that's the implication of significance f. So lesser the better, lesser the 0.05 the better it is. If it is higher 0.05 or higher than that, then that's an issue. We may have to adjust few of the variables in this. Then we are coming to a part where we have we did form a regression equation, which is over here y is equal to mx plus the intercept. The intercept is given over here and the slope coefficient is given over here. And then we actually saw how do we get the value of x and value of y, depending on the input, what kind of output we are getting it. Okay, over here we have one thing which is more relevant, which is a p value over here, and lower and upper 95%, which is plus and minus 2 standard deviation or 3 standard deviation, which Excel directly gives. So when you plot a normal curve, it is plus or minus what is the variance in the output is basically given by lower 95% and upper 95% basically. Okay, now p value, again it is ANOVA basically is for the entire regression. Now this p value is for the individual stuff. So p value is for this x, p value is for the intercept, so and so forth. Okay. Now the p value of the independent variable is what we are looking for. Okay, which is x, or rather x1, x2, x3, x4, so on and so forth, which is over here 3.52, which is same as significance f. Now you will see whatever we have in the simple linear regression, we have only one input, which is x over here. So that's why the p value and f value is one and the same. Okay. Now whatever interpretation of f value is stands same for the independent variables in terms of p values. So over here we have to clearly define its value is less than 0.05, then that particular variable is perfect. If it's more than 0.05, then in the regression we may want to eliminate that particular variable. So that's the linkage between significance f and p value of an independent variable, which is over here x. Now when we are doing the multiple regression, we will see how the significance f and p value changes. And finally we have probability output and residual output. Excel by default with the regression will predict all the values. So we have 11 values. So first value is 33, 72, 19, 27, 23. Excel will also predict all 11 values. So let's take first 5. It is predicted 32.36, 63.3, 22.73, 40.61, 26.85. And then it has found out the difference from the actual value, so which is 33. So let's find out. So from the actual value, which is over here, which is 33, minus whatever Excel has predicted, this is 0.63, is the same value over here. So this is more important for us. I will drag this, and all the values are the same. This basically says that if my R square is high, if my significance f is low, if my p value of the independent variable is low, I can accept these residual plots. However, if the residual part is very high, and like this, which is like this, which is minus 13, which is minus 13 over here, which is very high, then that can be considered as an outlier. In if you have million series of data, here the data set is too small, so we are not able to comment. However, your data set is too high or too large, let's say 1,000 entries or 10,000 entries or a million entries, then you can probably eliminate that particular entry. So Excel goes step by step. It started with the entire regression, which is over here, whether the regression is good or not. Then it went into the individual variables, whether that particular variable is good or not. Then it went into individual entries, whether those particular entries are good or not. Okay, and depending on that, we can take a call. Finally, the probability output. Probability output basically says that it arranges in an ascending and a descending order. It says that 18, which is the lowest value in this entire series, is at 4.54 percentile. Okay, it's not yet 0 percentile, the value is not 0. 32 is at the central, which is more like a mean, or rather more like a median. So this is a median of an entire series, and 76 stands at 95.45 percentile. Okay, so this just basically gives us the statistical output, is more like a measurable output. And then you have the graphs, which is similar to this. We don't actually require the graphs when we are looking after the regression. So these are the more or less 4 or 5 points which we have to look. First, we have to look at the correlation. Then we have to look at the R square. If there are more than one variables, then we have to look at the adjusted R square. Then we have to look at the significance F in the ANOVA. Then to find out the coefficients, using coefficient we can create the regression equation, and we have to find out the p-value of the independent variables only, not the intercept. And then we can have a look at the residuals, and we can have a look at the probability output. All right, so that's only the part of linear regression. In the subsequent videos we will also see the application of linear regression and how do we do the multiple linear regression with the multiple independent variables. Here we had only one variable. We will see how do we do with the more than one variable. Thank you.